This is the WrestleBread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee, and this is episode 163 of the WrestleBread Podcast. How about the past weekend and even the past 24 to 48 hours, huh? There has been more drama that has been going on backstage at AEW than 5 episodes of Love and Hip Hop. If you don't know what that is, look it up. But we had 3 wrestling shows this weekend, a lot of wrestling, good wrestling, okay wrestling, and some, you know. And then we come to a media scrum featuring Tony Khan and Mr. CM Punk that caused a bit of chaos, and then, according to rumors, a hell of a lot of chaos backstage. I mean, like, they had Brawl for All had nothing on what I'm reading that happened at the backstage at AEW. Now I'll get to the media scrum once I talk about the results of All Out and everything, but let's get started with the Clash at the Castle, which in my opinion was the better show of the 3. It had, fewer matches, including the pre-show. We had 7 matches, very impactful, great stories being told, great wrestling as well too. So let's start off with the pre-show. I don't even think they even announced this match, which was Madcap Moss and the Street Profits going against Austin Theory and the Alpha Academy. Kind of a short match for it to be a 6-man tag, but it had its purpose because it was on the pre-show, giving a bit more time for Austin Theory, who has been, his stock has dropped since Mr. McMahon has retired. Now Papa H is here, and while Austin Theory is technically one of Papa H's former kids, he pretty much was like, nah, you're part of the Vince McMahon squad right now. And I don't know, but Madcap Moss looked good in this match. Great crowd, first of all. Great crowd. I love when the wrestling pay-per-views go overseas. I swear the day that WrestleMania goes over there, it's definitely going to end up being like one of the top WrestleManias of all time. I'm calling it now, because the crowd had really made this match so fun. Not really a lot of moments where the crowd like died. They got quiet and stuff like that to kind of like concentrate on the match, but it wasn't like they were sitting there bored, if that makes sense. But going into the main show, we started off with the women. Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky, whose name is Damage Control, which I didn't even know, went against Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka. So I went with Bayley with Damage Control on this one. I figured since it's a 6-man tag, Damage Control really needs to get some type of momentum going. Especially the fact that they lost the women's tag team titles. The thing I didn't expect was for Bianca Belair to get pinned. I was a bit surprised by that. But this was a great match, a really good match for the start off the pay-per-view. Of course, because we are overseas, the international crowd immediately start doing the Bayley chant, which she tried. I gotta give it to her. She tried to stay in character and tell them to shut up. But they just kept singing the Bayley chant, and what I mean by chant is them singing, "Hey Bayley, ooh I want to know if you'll be my girl," and they just kept going. They just kept going, and they kept repeating it over and over and over again. She eventually cracked a smile. So that had to feel good. That being out of action for a while and not really being able to interact with the international crowd because of COVID and stuff like that, you get that moment again in front of them and they just immediately give you love, even though you're supposed to be the heel of the match, that they immediately give you love. This match went for 18 minutes. It didn't really feel like it was going on for too long, truthfully. I don't really mind and in comparison to All Out, I don't really mind pay-per-views that has like 5, 6, 7 matches. While yeah, it could feel short. Um, I like the pay-per-views where there are lesser matches because it gives more time as far as reducing the match, as far as letting the wrestlers get their time to shine as well, which you'll hear me say the opposite for some of the matches that happened at All Out, but a lot of these matches were given the time to, you know, deal with stories or, kind of like I said, give people time to shine. And I feel like with this match, it was definitely Damage Control that got their time to shine, which is what they needed because, like I said, they lost the Women's Tag Team Championship. They definitely needed some type of momentum going in order to continue on trying to get some type of dominance with the women's division. I'm guessing until Becky comes back. I'm not 100% sure where. I mean, I feel like this is leading to the individual feuds of Bayley, of Bayley going against Bianca Belair at some point. Io Sky and Asuka, chef's kiss. Like, it's magic whenever those two are in the ring. And then you have Dakota Kai and Alexa Bliss, of course, the two crazy ones going at each other. I mean, Dakota Kai isn't, portraying her crazy self, but still. Well, I guess reformed crazies is what I should say. But like I said, this was a pretty good 6-woman tag team match. Next up, we have Gunther going against Sheamus, which I knew was going to be a very hard-hitting match. But the surprise here, of course, was the appearance of Giovanni Vinci and the announcement of Gunther as the leader of Imperium. It would have been so much cooler if it was the actual theme, but I understand, we can only get what we can take. And Gunther, who is no longer in red, he was wearing his black Ring General jacket that he used to wear in NXT. This match, definitely match of the year candidate. This match was so good from start to finish. It's still a crime, first of all, that they did not release the full footage of Cesaro versus Walter when they went overseas. This match was so good from the get-go. First of all, this match didn't have that much of a build, but what we got here was so worth it. Having Gunther and Sheamus stare at each other as the Brawling Brutes and Imperium fight each other, in the ring around them. And of course, they fought to the outside, and eventually, I think they still were ringside throughout the match. Yeah. And you see Gunther and Sheamus staring each other down, waiting for the bell to ring so that they can, start fucking each other up. Because that's exactly what the hell happened with this match. They started fucking each other up. And, we knew that Sheamus' chest was going to be red. That bad boy was looking like ground beef freshly chopped up in the butcher shop. It was crazy. A lot of chops, a lot of going back and forth. There was a lot of Germans. There was boots to the face. It was very hard hitting. It was very good. Basically, who can inflict the most punishment on the other? It's just two dudes who like fucking people up that wanted to fuck each other up. It was such a good match, and you had to cringe a bit because Sheamus' chest started to get really red. Gunther was getting red as well, and it's just great match. Great match. Now this match went on for about 19 minutes, a little longer than the women's match, but they could have gone an hour for all I care. They could have gone an hour. This match was so good. Gunther, of course, retaining his title, which is kind of what I predicted, but I don't mind this turning into a feud. We could run this back, truthfully. And I know sometimes, when you try to get the sequel isn't always as good as the original, but I have faith in Gunther and Sheamus, that the Sheamus versus Gunther 2 will be just as good as the first one. But this was a great match with these two. Next up, we have the Women's SmackDown Championship. Liv Morgan going against Shayna Baszler. Now, I admit I kind of missed most of this match. So I was catching it like here and there. It looked like people were saying it was a pretty good match, so I should at one point check this out. But I am slightly disappointed that Liv Morgan retained. I understand that they just have to kind of like build her up a bit more. But I'm ready for Shayna Baszler. I am so ready for Shayna Baszler, the original Shayna Baszler, to just, choke some chicks out, okay? But if from what I'm hearing from people, that Liv Morgan definitely stood her ground in this match. Of course, trying more likely, touching back to when she was training with Riddle and getting, learning how to reverse out of moves and stuff like that. There's a lot of people who are not happy that Liv Morgan is champion. Truthfully, let her be champion. Let her get this title reign. Let it go, go out, be done with it type of situation. And like it is with a lot of people, unfortunately, the chase for the title is so much better than when they have the actual title reign. I don't know if it's because, once they get the title, they kind of get comfortable as far as booking and stuff like that. Like, you don't have to make sure you're on top of your game because this person is going towards the title, and you're building them up to show that they are capable enough to go against the current, that then champion, and defeat that champion, and give them a momentum and stuff like that. And it feels like once you get to that top of the hill, there's not that much proving that you really have to do, because now you are champion. Now you're just doing these one-off feuds and stuff like that in order to retain the championship. Like, there's not an actual storyline. So I'm not too upset about Liv Morgan winning. I would love for Shayna Baszler to win, but I'm guessing Liv is going to hold on to the title until eventually she loses it to Ronda Rousey, whenever that happens. But like I said, I was down for Shayna to win here, and then this leads to eventually Shayna going against Ronda Rousey, because that's definitely what it seems like they're building up to. So then next up, we have Edge and Rey Mysterio going against the Judgment Day. We had Rhea Ripley ringside and we had Dominic ringside. Pretty good match, first of all. Of course, we knew that Rhea Ripley was going to get involved in the match. I think there was a spot where she went to pick up Dom, and Rey Mysterio, I think he drop kicked Dom so that he would make Rhea Ripley fall. And this was a fine match. We had Edge coming out with a luchador mask as well. This was a fine match. I mean, basically all everyone was waiting for was for Dominic to turn to the dark side. And the match won, which I did pick for Edge and Rey to win. I figured maybe Rhea Ripley would get involved, stuff like that. And I kind of figured after they win, then Dominic will turn, which is exactly what we got. It was such a glorious. It was worth the slow burn of, no, it's not actually worth the slow burn of these 2 years that we had to deal with this. But the payoff was fine. I'm still a bit skeptical about Dom, being betrayed as a heel and going against his dad. But what he showed here is definitely promising. He kicked the hell out of Edge, and Edge selling the low blow was chef's kiss. I mean, he looked at him like, straight up Caesar and Brutus, and he fell down, and then you see Rey trying to calm Dominic down, stuff like that. Everyone is chanting for, choke slam your dad, stuff like that. And he choke slammed the hell out of Rey Mysterio. I don't know if Rey Mysterio like suddenly got like flashbacks or something like that to when, when Eddie Guerrero and Batista betrayed him, but goodness gracious, Dominic saved like the best performance of a move for his dad. I have to say, the reason probably why it took so long, maybe Dominic didn't realize that you can watch old footage on Peacock. I was about to say WWE Network. That he probably went to the Peacock and, pulled up some, my dad, 20 years, let me look into his, best matches, stuff like that. And he found the footage of him finding out that Eddie Guerrero is actually his dad. And he probably was like pissed off and it's like, how you slightly in denial when you find out like major details. He probably was in slight denial. And then, the fact that Ray decided to pick Edge over him, that's probably when it clicked and he was like, you know what? You're not my dad. You're not my dad. You just got custody of me right now. And decided, right then and there to, take it out. Take it out on him. And it's very glorious that you can look back at history and find out who you really are. And Dominic found out like, no, you're not my daddy. Rhea Ripley is my daddy now. I cracked up when they came out on Monday Night Raw and Rhea Ripley comes out and says, I wanted her to say it, but they're still on the PG for her to say, you're not his daddy now, I'm his daddy. Do I blame Dom? No, I mean, if Rhea Ripley was to put me in a leg lock, in a leg chokehold, I probably would have turned to her side too. I would have been dressed up like Winona Ryder in Beetlejuice. I would have had the spikes. I mean, I don't know about all the piercings and tattoos, but I would have had the spikes. I would have wore, all black. I would have looked more. Undertaker would have had nothing on me for how much black I would have been wearing. So Dominic comes out, hair slicked all back and everything like that, trying to look like he definitely looks like one of them damn kids that got the girl that finally gets a girlfriend and he goes through the rebel phase. That's exactly what's going on with Dominic. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure, Buddy Matthews is probably like asking Tony Khan, like, yo, just let me run into that locker room one time. I just want to tap Dominic's chin just once, just let me slide over there. But, maybe we'll get, well, I don't think we're going to ever get Buddy Matthews versus Dominic. I don't think Dominic is ready for that type of ass whooping. Because obviously his dad wasn't giving it to him. If he felt bold enough to choke slam the hell out of him like that. But this was fine. This was mainly for the ending. Definitely the meme that people will probably be using is Judgment Day sitting there laughing at when Dominic made the turn as well. Next up we have Seth Rollins going against Matt Riddle. First of all, this match, hard-hitting. And I was hoping that this was going to be a hard-hitting match because I said how brutal this feud was with the back and forth and getting personal and stuff like that. I felt as though like this match like really needs to be hard-hitting. Now, obviously, it couldn't be as hard-hitting as Gunther versus Sheamus, but we at least needed something to match the promos that was going, to match the word that was going back and forth between them two. Seth Rollins letting everyone know that he does not give a fuck. He came out looking like a canary straight from hell. Definitely raided Elton John's closet as we saw. Came out with the wings and the glasses and the fire get up and stuff like that. He was going off in this match. We had Riddle too, a lot of hard hitting and stuff like that, but towards the end of the match we had Seth Rollins sitting there telling Riddle that you're a loser, your wife knows that you're a loser, that's why she left you, and your kids are going to know that you're a loser too. And I'm like, damn, Seth, like, he's already down, like, don't stop him any more further. And then of course Riddle damn near snapped. He was about to hit Seth Rollins with a chair and get disqualified. Seth Rollins runs to the ring. Riddle goes to run in the ring, and Seth Rollins curb stomped him. And then Seth Rollins did a super motherfucking curb stomp, and that shit obviously connected because there was a big ass knot on Riddle's face. Well, Matt Riddle, his name is Matt Riddle now, but it was a big ass knot on his head, and I was like, yo, this shit ain't over. I know Seth Rollins is sitting there like, I'm going after the title, but yeah, this isn't over. Riddle isn't going to take it that lightly. I mean, if I was Riddle, I wouldn't take it lightly that, you were told on national TV live and in living color that you're a loser. Your wife knows you're a loser. That's why she left you. And your kid's going to grow up and know that you're a loser too. Like, damn. You have to come back. You gotta whip some ass on that one. But that was a good match. This match went on for like 17 minutes. Pretty good match, hard hitting. Definitely lived up to the hype of the feud. And I wouldn't mind this getting run back too. Like, this match, and I said this previously, can easily be elevated to Hell in a Cell or even with Extreme Rules, because the next up that's coming to my city is Extreme Rules, which they were running a lot of promos during Clash of the Castle, and they had fucking Paul Heyman, talking for the vignette, talking and saying how Philly is the capital, is known for Extreme and stuff like that, and I'm like, yo. I went to Extreme Rules the last time it was in Philly, like, what was that, 3 years ago? That was when Brock Lesnar had cashed in and became champion. That was when one of my favorite spots ever was Baron Corbin doing the end of days on Becky Lynch. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about going to Extreme Rules only because it's in all the way down South Philly. You get out late, then you gotta deal with traffic and all that stuff, and then don't even get me started on public transportation of trying to get home if you decide to do that. And then on another side note, before I get into the main event, Undertaker is having a one-man show in Philly like the day before Extreme Rules, and tickets went on sale. I'm recording this on a Tuesday, and tickets went on sale today. That bitch sold out. Now, I was able to see some of the prices, and I already knew what it was. So I'm thinking, like, this was going to be something that happens at, like, maybe 7, 8 o'clock type of situation. This bitch is at 10 o'clock. And I'm like, damn, Undertaker, I know we're the creatures of the night, but goodness gracious, some of us needs to get, like, this is Philly, okay? I don't know if you know about Philly, but Philly ain't the place to be at midnight when you are coming out of South Street, because it's supposed to be going on, in one of the theaters that's located on South Street, which is South Philly. And it's like, yo, dude, like, and I know he's gonna talk forever, because we already seen that with the Hall of Fame speech. So you're not getting out to probably like 3 in the morning, and things are normally shut down. Like our we're not New York. Our public transportation, the trains will start doing shuttle buses, and things are shut down. We're not the city that doesn't sleep. Like we go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning tops, and you're lucky if you can find Uber at that time. Like maybe if because of you're coming in from the airport or something like that, but mofos are asleep. The only people that are awake are people that you don't want to be around 3 o'clock in the morning. But the tickets sold out. The tickets were about like $200, standing room only. I saw like, I guess it was floor seats or something like that, or closer to the stage, and those Johns were saying $1,500, and this was on Ticketmaster. This is not even on the resale. And a part of me had wanted to go because I'm a big Undertaker fan, but I'm not. Like, I'm a big Undertaker fan, but I'm not 10 o'clock, $1,500 ticket type of Undertaker fan. I ain't even buy the special belt, truthfully. When I saw the Undertaker belt, I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then I saw the price. I'm like, yo, I'm an Undertaker fan. Like, I'll keep buying your shirts. You know what I mean? I'll keep buying your shirts, but I'm $1,500. That's a floor seat at WrestleMania. Like, I'll save that and get the floor seat at WrestleMania. But yo, for $1,500 at that Undertaker show, I better be able to shake his hand. He put his hand on my forehead and pray over me. I better see Michelle McCool. I better be able to babysit his kids for 2 hours. I better be able to learn how to do the tombstone. You know, I better be able to go and dig up graves with this motherfucker for $1,500 on a Friday night at 10 o'clock in the evening in fucking Philadelphia. Like, you gotta do more than that. Um, but getting back on track, because that was a big tangent. But getting back on track with Clash at the Castle, we're at the main event. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. And I said this during my predictions. This was like setting up for the title to be handed to Drew McIntyre. We are overseas, we got these vignettes that they've been doing, these cinematic movies of Drew McIntyre and stuff like that. And then we get to him coming out and they played this like little vignette before he came out, and it was Broken Dreams. They actually did it. They actually acknowledged that there is a previous song that a lot of people want to hear. Like, sometimes things are a little bit too good to be true. Everybody wanted Broken Dreams to come back, and then you get it. And it kind of feels weird because, when Vince was in charge and we got what we wanted, 9 times out of 10, we had to pay for it. You know what I mean? Like with WrestleMania 30, we all wanted Daniel Bryan to main event WrestleMania. We wanted him to win the title. What happened? Undertaker streak. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, what is it that we need to give up in order to get this Broken Dreams? Technically, it was the fact that Drew McIntyre didn't lose. But I don't want to say it is what it is, but they definitely really set it up that this man was going to win the title. Nevertheless, we had Roman Reigns, who came out by himself. Entrance of his took about a little over 20 minutes. He definitely was kind of walking a bit slow, took a lot of pauses and stuff like that as well. But Roman Reigns is, first of all, someone on Twitter, I forgot the handle, but someone on Twitter said that they saw the ramp for Clash at the Castle and they knew that Roman Reigns' entrance was going to be longer than a church service. I said that Roman Reigns is trying to go for the Guinness Book of Records. He's trying to beat out Undertaker and stuff like that. Like, if you were to go to that one-man show, Undertaker would probably be pissed off that Roman Reigns is trying to, take over his entrance. Like, Roman Reigns might as well come out with the hat and the jacket and just walk like he got arthritis in the knees at this point. But this match went for 30 minutes. And it didn't feel like it was long because it had a lot of great sequences in here. The crowd was so hot with this match. It was some perfect near falls. I mean, like millisecond count to 3 before the kick out. I love near falls when it's done perfectly and it's done at the perfect time. Like, I don't like when it's like, okay, back to back to back to back to back, because then you start getting tired after the third one. But when they're spaced out nicely and they're perfectly timed, because I would say maybe it took about a good 15 minutes before we even got an attempt at a finish. And I believe that was when Roman Reigns did the spear first. And there was a few times that Drew McIntyre did a spear. We had Claymore and stuff like that. I don't think, did Roman Reigns get a Superman punch? I think Roman Reigns did get off the Superman punch. But I actually like that. I like the fact that we didn't get the finishers for quite an amount of time, because it kind of like build up the anticipation to know that whoever gets the finish off first is probably who is going to win. And then we see the finish, someone pulls off the finisher and it's like, oh, it's over now. And then we get that perfect near fall and it was like, okay, we're going to keep going. Maybe it's true. And then Drew gets off that perfect Claymore and, it was back and forth and stuff like that. Theory comes out. with the attempt to cash in, which I thought was crazy. I'm like, okay, we're about to turn this into a triple threat match. Tyson Fury KOs the hell out of Austin Theory. Poor kid. All he's trying to do is he's just trying to get rid of the damn green briefcase, and every single time he is getting punched, he's getting knocked out. He is being stopped from cashing in. At this point, Theory might as well just stand in the parking lot and wait for Roman Reigns to appear and just like hit him with the briefcase once and just cash in right there. Like, stop waiting for the matches. It's not happening at that point. You're gonna have to pull a 24/7 type of situation on this. But yeah, we had that. It continued back and forth with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, and then we get to the spot where Drew McIntyre gets the Claymore. 1, 2, and I thought it was 3 at first. Then the referee gets pulled out. And who pulls the referee out? We have now called up to the main roster Baby Uso. Solo Sikoa, who I was waiting for him to come into the main roster. The rumor was he didn't want to go up to the main roster because he wanted to make a name for himself, which I was like, I get that, but once you go up to the main roster, they're not going to mention that you're in NXT anyway, so you might as well get the paycheck, get the coin, and be with your family all the time. However, he did come on his own in NXT, and now since we have Triple H at the helm, he'll be definitely treated good. But now we got Baby Uso, and now it's like, well, who else is gonna come? Nia Jax, Tamina, Naomi. Like, we might as well pull out dogs at this point to join the bloodline. I mean, they about to have a family reunion in this bad boy. But yeah, Solo Sikoa is here, Baby Uso. That's why I'm gonna call him from time to time is Baby Uso, because he looks just like his brothers. And I'm very interested to see how he's gonna play in with not only with the bloodline, but what they're gonna have him do on his own as well. I mean, he can go after the US title or the IC title, he could get some gold on around his waist. Maybe not the IC title, because that's Gunther. I don't know if he's ready for that just yet. I mean, yeah, the US champion is Bobby Lashley. I mean, either way, yeah. Let's Baby Uso just needs to concentrate on where he falls on with the bloodline with his brothers and his cousins. But yeah, afterwards, Roman Reigns, I believe it was a spear, and then 1, 2, 3, and Roman Reigns retains with the help of the bloodline. Kind of once again, we have to say. And then we come to the weird part. Tyson Fury gets into the ring, and it's as if motherfucking Drew McIntyre didn't just wrestle for 30 minutes and lost by interference. Tyson Fury starts singing, then Drew McIntyre joins in the singing. It's definitely one of the dark. It's supposed to be a dark spot for the crowd so that they go home happy after with Drew getting special shirts and stuff like that, broken dreams, and him losing, to send the crowd home happy. I'm not sure why the decision was made to let that air. I'm guessing to get ahead of the people who recorded it and put it on YouTube. That's my only guess as to why we saw this live at home, is so that WWE can have the rights to that footage and put it on their YouTube channel and stuff like that. But it was still very weird. As far as with Drew McIntyre, like, you just lost a 30-minute match and you were going after that title for the longest of time, and you're sitting here singing about it. You know what I mean? You're not even upset. You're not even upset. So yeah, that was a bit weird. I don't know why that happened. But overall, like I said, Worlds Collide was definitely the better pay-per-view out of the 3. So next up we have Worlds Collide. Now, I was in and out with this one as well. I was tired as hell. I realized, like, damn, wrestling is about to be on for at least 20 hours. I should have taken a nap. And I actually, like, dozed off um around the like not too far in with the women's tag and then the main event. So I kind of missed most of it. So I'm gonna talk mainly about the matches that I've seen, and then I'll just give my opinion on what I read as far as the two main events. So first off, we have Carmelo Hayes going against Ricochet. Of course, this was going to be a great match. I knew it was going to be, spot fest, which, confuses me sometimes with some of these wrestling fans who sit there and say they don't like spot fest. If you don't like a spot fest that you be seeing in AEW, you shouldn't be liking this match either, because this was spots. This was a lot of spots. Ricochet was doing his damn superhero landings and stuff like that as well. The spot that I kind of liked was when Ricochet had Carmelo up against the barricade and he grabbed the fans' hands and put their hands on Carmelo's arms to help him hold Carmelo down while he chops him. I thought that was such a unique spot. And then I don't know if you caught that, but Carmelo turns and mean mugs the people who sat there and held his arms. Um, this was a really good match, very high flying. I mean, Carmelo Hayes he definitely is going to be champion one day. Definitely. He is so good. Definitely can hang up there with the veterans, as we see here with Ricochet. The only issue I had with this match was the finish. I really hate when matches are very hyped, is going so well and stuff like that, and then we get the roll up. That don't make sense to me. Like, I get that you're trying to protect, but Ricochet is not in NXT unless this is the start of him being in NXT. But I feel like this finish could have been done a hell of a lot better. Like, do a finisher, whatever, even if you want to have Trick Williams interfere and then Carmelo does a finish to kind of get a bit of a dirty finish to this, fine. But I really hate when they do the roll-ups with these type of matches. It kind of like takes the bit of the air out of the room. So next up, we had the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Elimination match to unify the NXT and NXT UK Tag Team Championships. I didn't even know this was a Tag Team Elimination match. I had originally went with the Creed Bros, but we ended up with Pretty Deadly. Now, I had mentioned previously that I don't really watch the weekly shows like that, so I didn't even know that Lash Legend was with Pretty Deadly. I don't know how that happened or how that works out. But it seems like it's like a bit of a feud between Lash Legend and I think it's Fallon Henley as well. And then we had Gallus from NXT UK to there. And the Creed brothers came with Damon Kemp. And we saw footage earlier of Roderick Strong getting knocked the fuck out, like Smokey says in the movie Friday. And he was counting sheep. He was TKO'd. He was knocked out harder. He was laying there like Mike Tyson punched him. So of course there was the mystery of who did that to Roderick Strong as well. And this match, I think the Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs was eliminated first. And then we had Gallus, so we were down to the Creed brothers and Pretty Deadly. And I actually thought that the Creed brothers was going to win here. Of course, then we have the turn on Damon Kemp, who obviously is the person who attacked Roderick Strong. So we're starting the feud between him and the Creed brothers. But we had Pretty Deadly, who actually won to unify it. And I know they were NXT champions previously before. I completely missed a lot of their title reign, so I'm not even quite sure how they are as champions, So next up, we had the triple threat match to unify the NXT and NXT UK Women's Championship. We had Mandy Rose, Meiko, Satomura, and Blair Davenport. I don't know why. I don't know who I thought Blair Davenport is, but I didn't even realize it was Bea Priestley. I saw the hair and I was like, oh, she has hair like Bea Priestley. And I was like, wait a minute. And I'm looking and I'm like, I think that's Bea Priestley. And I had to look it up. And I was like, okay, I keep forgetting that they changed the names. That they changed the names now with the wrestlers. Um, but this was a great match between these three. A lot of back and forth as well. I didn't expect Mandy Rose to retain here, but like I had said previously, I kind of expected it because it's not a lot of women who can take over the division like Mandy Rose. I kind of figured that she would be called up along with Toxic Attraction, especially since we're kind of getting like trios on the main roster with Damage Control being up there, and then you kind of thrown in Bianca, Asuka, and Alexa together as a trios as well. I kind of figured it would be a bit interesting to have Toxic Attraction going against Damage Control at one point. But it is what it is. They decided not to pull the title off of Mandy Rose just yet. And hopefully, eventually they run this back. So I don't know what's going to happen with Meiko Satomura. I know that she's been a veteran for a very, very long time. And I don't know what's going to happen with Blair Davenport. Because I know they're still having NXT Europe now. So I don't know if the NXT UK people is going to go back overseas at one point to carry that brand. Who knows? I didn't really read up a lot on that match on NXT Europe. So this match with the women went about 13 minutes, that was fine. It was fine with me. After that, we had the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship, Katana Chance and Kayden Carter going against Doudrop and Nikki ASH. From what I saw, you know what? I did see all this match because I remembered that Toxic Attraction had appeared and they helped Katana Chance and Kayden Carter retain. Which I'm assuming is because of the the main roster women's tag team tournament. That's why they attacked Doudrop and Nikki ASH, probably to sit there and say, hey, if we don't get the titles, then you don't get the titles either. That's my guess. But this match was for like 10 minutes, which is fine. It is not it is what it is. I should stop saying that. But, it was fine. It worked out for this match, especially with the appearance of Toxic Attraction. And I figured, that Kayden Carter, Katana Chance was going to retain here because there really was no point unless they were putting Doudrop and Nikki ASH permanently on the NXT roster, which I kind of figured they were not going to do that. That this was pretty much like a one-off and then they go back to the main roster. And then we have the main event of Bron Breakker versus Tyler Bate. I actually had Tyler Bate to retain because I figured I was going to call up Bron Breakker. Because he's, promo-wise, he is a Steiner. He's not going to be the best. But he's definitely pretty good in the ring. So I figured that he would eventually be called up. But, he retains. And so I guess it's pretty much like it's the Roman Reigns thing. Who is going to defeat and same thing with Mandy Rose actually too. Who's going to defeat these people to take the title off of them? All three of them had lengthy title reigns and stuff like that. And it's like the longer that they have these titles, the more you're sitting here wondering like who is going to take the title off of these people. But overall, Worlds Collide was okay. Of course, the North American Championship really set the night. That was definitely match of the night for me. Now going into All Out. So this pay-per-view had 15 matches. 4 matches on the pre-show, which is a lot. And I had said this during my predictions that whenever you have so many matches, what is going to happen is either a match is not going to get enough time because they're being rushed due to time constraints, or there'll be a match on the card that could have definitely went on Dynamite or Rampage. So with the pre-show, we had 4 matches. Starting out, we had the Jericho Appreciation Society of Sammy Guevara and Tate Mello going against Ortiz and Ruby Soho. First of all, I hope Ruby Soho is okay. They said that she had a broken nose, but the spot where Sammy held her and Tay did a drop kick and then Sammy just kind of like let her go and she kind of like plopped on the ground, definitely looked like it caused like a neck issue. I mean, she seemed like she was out of it for a moment. So I don't know if she could have possibly been concussed or something like that. Who knows? But it looked ugly. And I feel bad for Ruby because she definitely, it felt like, there was like this promise of her, being at least put to the forefront at a certain point. But now she's kind of like there. She's just kind of there. I mean, we had Sammy Guevara and Tay Mello to retain here. This match was okay. This match went on for 6 minutes. I wasn't like completely hyped about it. This was for the AAA World Mixed Tag Team Championship. It was alright. I mean, this match was alright. It is what it is with this feud between these two. I mean, I feel like it's just like something to do until they figure out what they're going to do with Ruby Soho and Ortiz. But they're just going to keep feuding with Sammy and Tay Mello. So after that we had Hook going against Angelo Parker. I figured that Hook was going to retain. It was a typical Hook match. I'm happy that it wasn't a squash, that Angelo had some offense going in. But this was pretty much a typical Hook match. This match only lasted less than 4 minutes. Action Bronson, who does the theme for Hook, was ringside. People made the joke that they thought it was Bray Wyatt at first. He gets into the ring to, get a piece of the action. So we have that going. But yeah, this was a very short match. Hook retains, of course. I'm just waiting for Taz to be, ringside with his son at one point. Like, I'm sure he wants to work with his son a little more closely. So I'm just waiting for that to happen. Next up, we had the AEW All Atlantic Championship, Pac versus Kip Sabian. This match was about like around 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes as well. It was some back and forth. This was a pretty good match. A few to start out with Kip, but I wish that, I don't know if Kip, like I said, I don't know if Kip was out this whole time with an injury or something, but I'm not understanding why it took so long for him to finally get into the ring. And where's Penelope? You know what I mean? Where is Penelope? But this match served its purpose. This apparently was the first defense for Pac on U.S. soil. He was defending the title overseas. And I'm interested to see if this is going to continue or we're going to get a new feud with Pac. So after that, we had Eddie Kingston going against Tomohiro Ishii. Now, I really like Eddie. I really do. But Eddie's promos does not match his fighting in-ring style. His ring style, it can blend perfectly with other people's fighting styles in a match. Sometimes it doesn't. He has a limited moveset as well. Not putting down Eddie Kingston, but I just wish that there could have been more with this match. I mean, people really like this match. For one, I was fine with the match, but it wasn't like a variety with this match. I mean, this match consisted of them going back and forth for at least a good 5 minutes, chopping each other, which we kind of saw with Sheamus versus Gunther. Only difference was the chops was kind of like filtered in. Like, I appreciate when they do the chop each other until we're tired in the middle of the match to do that spot. But to do this in the beginning of the match, I kind of didn't like it. And then, I mean, that's mainly what it was. I mean, props to them. I know chops hurt your chest a lot. So props to them for taking 30 chops to the chest like that. But I felt like the match could have been a lot more. I had, like I said, Eddie Kingston kind of has a bit of a limited moveset, so it's like, I don't know. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I know there's people who liked it. I personally, I kind of didn't like this match. So then we get to the main card, and we start off with the casino ladder match for a shot at the AEW World Championship match. I was looking forward to this match because this had a bunch of high flyers, and like I said, whoever the Joker is, I assumed had to be some type of high flyer, seeing as though it was pretty much all high flyers. I mean, Claudio was in there, but Claudio was pretty much like keeping up with everyone. A lot of hard hitting matches, a lot of hard hitting spots, I should say. There was the spot where Andrade had power bombed Yuta. There was the spot of I think it was Penta or Andrade. One of them did the Canadian Destroyer on the other. Pretty good match. In my opinion, the match didn't last long enough for this to be a ladder match with 8 people. We get to the Joker. Before we even get to the Joker, we had a bunch of men in hoods and masks attacking the competitors. They come in, of course, it's Stokely Hathaway and his crew. Then he climbs up the ladder and retrieves the chip. So I'm like, okay, whoever is about to come out as the Joker is working with Hathaway Stokely. So then, we had music hits, someone in a mask comes out. Nyla Rose was cracking me up during this part because she said that the person who was the Joker is actually the masked magician. I don't know if you know who the masked magician is, but there used to be a show called the Secret of Magic or something like that. I forgot the title. But it was basically a magician who wore a mask very similar to the mask that was worn by the Joker at All Out, and he would reveal how certain magic tricks were done. And these were like including big ones, like ones that I forgot the names, but ones that the more widely known magicians would pull off. And of course, he had to mask himself to protect his identity so that he won't get harassed for releasing all this information about magic. That's what she said the Joker reminded her of. Now, the Joker then teased to take off the mask, and then he said no, and then walks off. Of course, people started saying MJF and stuff like that. I was disappointed with the finish because I was looking forward to this match. So there were people who, of course, was expecting the payoff to happen. I was hoping that the payoff happened later on that night instead of us waiting to Dynamite. But I was a bit disappointed that the match was kind of cut short. Because this was a ladder match with a lot of great competitors, and for them to get their time to shine, because Penta is the one who came out before the Joker, and Penta didn't even get that much time in the match like everyone else did. And it was a lot of crazy spots with this. Dante Martin, of course, doing crazy spots because he's not human, and Rey Fenix, of course, doing crazy spots because he's not human either. But it was very interesting that the Joker had covered himself up. So I was sitting here like, well, whoever this person is, obviously they done rolled out the red carpet for all this, so this better be something important. So next up, we had the Elite going against Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order. This was the tournament final for the Trios Championship. This was a great match. And there was storytelling of Kenny Omega just wanting to pull off the win over the Elite. Kenny Omega coming out looking 100%, no shirt, no tape or anything like that. And Justin Roberts with the intros calling Kenny Omega Kevin Nash's new favorite wrestler. And then threw Will Ospreay under the bus once again with these intros. But I need them to do a different intro every single time Kenny Omega comes out. That's what I need. But this match was pretty good. This match went for almost 20 minutes. There were people who were upset that the Dark Order had lost once again. They really haven't been the same since Brody had passed away. They're definitely missing a bit of that spark that they had. Like the crowd is definitely over with them. The crowd was chanting for Alex Reynolds at one point. So they definitely are fan favorites with the crowd, but unfortunately the way that they are booked as they are booked being in the way of someone else. I knew that the Elite was going to win these trio titles because whatever they decided to feud with whoever after this, that's I feel like is the setup for. And unfortunately, the Dark Order is not meant to have the trios titles. I don't know when they're going to get the trios titles, but it's not meant for them to have the trios titles. So, unfortunately for them, um, it's not happening yet. But definitely setting up a showdown between Hangman Page and probably um, Kenny Omega again. Probably. That's what my guess is. So next up we have Jade Cargill going against Athena for the AEW TBS Championship. Now this match was only for 4 minutes, and I'm sorry, this match was a bit sloppy. For Athena to come in as a bit of the veteran over Jade Cargill, it felt like Jade Cargill, like Athena was a bit too speedy in order for her moves to like really gel well with Jade Cargill. That's my only guess with it because there was a lot of spots where she was very speedy and Jade Cargill was not able to set herself up in time with the spot. Now, as far as Jade Cargill, she came out cosplaying as She-Hulk, Chef's Kiss. As said this previously before, I am totally biased for Jade Cargill. As I figured that it's possible that Athena may win the match here, and that it's possible that someone may interfere to help her out, or for Jade Cargill, or attack Jade Cargill. But Jade Cargill retains, and Jade Cargill looked good in this match. But like I said, it was a bit sloppy. It had to been, and this was a very short match too. So there wasn't like soon as the match like was supposed to kind of switch into second gear, that's when it ended. And it's like, where do we go from here? What is the end game? Who, just like with Roman Reigns, Mandy Rose and Braun Breaker, who is going to defeat Jade Cargill and make it believable that this person can beat her? And that's why I kind of figured Chris Statlander. She's the one that would, dethrone her, but who knows if Chris Statlander will be able to get back and try to take the title from Jade Cargill. After that, we had Wardlow and FTR going against the Motor City Machine Guns and Jay Lethal. Now, truthfully, this is one of the matches that I felt like could have been on Dynamite. The true pay-per-view match that we could have got was the Motor City Machine Guns going to FTR. I get that Wardlow is over, so you want to continue the momentum of his popularity. But still, like, because there's so many matches on the card, this match could have easily been on Dynamite. I have said this previously, Tony Khan does not really have, he has to really make sure he puts on the best show possible from top to bottom. Because it's not like, watching these pay-per-views with AEW is not cheap at all. Or it's $50 that you have to pay out at once. So he doesn't have as much room to, just kind of like do whatever and expect people to still pay for $50, like with throwing Jon Moxley and CM Punk together in the match, which I'll get to a bit later. But this match, it was fine. It is what it is. I keep saying it is what it is. Maybe I have to really stop doing that. I have to catch myself and stop doing that. But with this match between these six, like I said, it should have been mainly FTR going against Motor City Machine Guns. That is the pay-per-view match right there. But of course we had to throw in Wardlow, to kind of get him going. And then he started doing power bombs, Jay Lethal, which, that kind of took me a bit by surprise because I didn't expect Jay Lethal to be the one that takes the power bomb spot. Not saying it should have been one of the members of the Motor City Machine Guns, but if you're really trying to build up people, you don't really want, if there's a match on the heel team and one of the people, is someone on your payroll, like I wouldn't sit there and book them to be the one to take the power bombs like that, especially if you want to continue this feud. But I'm guessing this feud is over since, Wardlow's the one who power bombed Jay Lethal like 20 times or something. But next up, the crowd was dead too for the 6-man tag match, which, and it's not like they were dead because they were hype off of a match earlier. No, the crowd was just dead. The crowd wasn't really that interested in the match unless FTR was coming in. It was a cool part 2 after the match where Sanjay Dutt had wore a shirt that's calling Dax's daughter a brat, and then we had the spot of her coming out to beat up on Sanjay and then pinned him. That was a cool spot. That was heartwarming there. So after that, we had Powerhouse Hobbs going against Ricky Starks. Now this match I was kind of looking forward to because I want these two to do well in AEW. So I was hoping that we would have got something with this match. This match was only for 5 minutes, and the finish of it kind of came out of nowhere with Powerhouse doing his finisher, and then 1, 2, 3, and that's it. And for this to be only 5 minutes, this match could have been definitely put on the on Dynamite. Like, I understand you want to have your people to shine, but you have to kind of rein it in at some point, because people are going to start getting uninterested. Truthfully, this, like I said, this match between Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks, booking wise, could have been on Dynamite. I get that you want them to be on the pay-per-view and get taken care of and stuff, but not everybody can make it on the main roster. Of course, there's plenty of people who didn't get an appearance on this pay-per-view, and they wish they did. You have to, you can't put all these matches on the pay-per-views like that. So after that, we had Swerve in Our Glory going against The Acclaimed with Billy Gunn. The Acclaimed, everyone loves The Acclaimed, first of all. If you didn't know that, now you know. They were so over. They were so over in Chicago. Of course, they had the champs come out first so that Max Caster can do his freestyle when they do their entrance. The Acclaim definitely reminds me of the New Age Outlaws. Like, they're a 2022 version of it. I wouldn't say 2.0 of the New Age Outlaws, but definitely they give me New Age Outlaw vibes. Of course, the chants with the crowd, with the "Oh Scissor Me Daddy," and then what was the other one? Like, "You Can't Scissor," or something like that. I'm saying, like, yo, these chats. If someone just walks into the room and has like no context of what's going on, and all they hear is "Oh Scissor Me Daddy," like, you can't really explain it. You're gonna have to say, like, look, I can pull up YouTube for you so that you understand, but you kind of have to be in the moment in order to get what's going on. Now, this was a great match, a great story. The Acclaim is so over, and I appreciated that this match was for like over 20 minutes. And I'm happy that the Acclaim got their time to shine. While I wished that the Acclaim had won the titles, this would have been the perfect time to pull, to put the rocket on them. When they do eventually win the titles, it's just going to be so much better. But then, we had Keith Lee and them getting booed, especially towards the end where Keith Lee kind of put out his hand for Billy Gunn to scissor him, And Billy Gunn was kind of looking around like, should I? And people were booing and, pretty much saying no. And he kind of did it anyway. So, but overall, this was definitely a good match. Definitely. So after that, we had the Fatal 4-Way for the Interim Women's World Championship. Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida. I get the whole interim championship part. I really do, because it's not fair to whoever's champion if they were to suffer an injury that they would have to give up their title and have to like basically go through the ringer again, especially if the current champion is involved, the new champion I should say, is involved in a pretty good feud. But with this happening with CM Punk and now with Thunder Rosa, now we have an interim champion, and I don't know, it feels like as if the person who is champion isn't like technically the champion, which can be a bit annoying and kind of a bit degrading as well. Because it's like, if this person wasn't champion, would I be champion anyway? Like, are you setting me up to defeat this person? Or you're like, oh, CM Punk, can't have the title right, is injured right now. So let's give it to Jon Moxley. And then as we will see later, when the two go against each other, of who would win the title type of situation. So it's like if Toni Storm, Toni Storm is the one who did win the title. And it's like if when Toni Storm wins the title and Thunder Rosa comes back and we have champion versus champion, will Thunder Rosa then actually continue her title reign, or we're going to give it back to Thunder Rosa because she is the actual champion and thus her reign has to continue? You know what I mean? So it just feels like it's basically a placeholder, and instead of like, letting the person have that moment of being like champion at top of the card, it's like, oh, you're basically the substitute teacher. Once the actual teacher comes back, we're gonna, let you go, whatever, until we need a substitute again. This was a fine match. Very interesting with Hikaru Shida, that she, got quote unquote injured when she was on top of the ramp, and the medical doctors or whoever they are called in AEW comes out, or the officials I should say, they come out and they, grab Ashita and then they take her into the back. And I'm like, are they about to do the WWE ankle spot where, someone is injured, they go into the back and then they come out much later like, no, I have to fight and finish this match? The answer is yes. That's technically what happened. I guess she came back pretty quickly, so that was a good thing. Plus on top of that, she came out with 2 kendo sticks, so I guess she decided to agree to go into the back just to get the kendo stick. That's how I'm going to see it as. But this match went on for 14 minutes, good showing with the women. We saw that Britt Baker, what we kind of expected was going to happen, took advantage of, the every woman for herself, and went and tried to get the cover on Jamie Hayter. I believe Toni Storm was the one who I forgot what Toni Storm was the one who knocked her down, and Britt Baker turned around and tried to get the cover, which, there is now a bit of a divide between Britt and Jamie Hayter from that. They kind of, Jamie Hayter, of course, got a little upset about it. But in the end, Toni Storm is the one who won the title, which I'm very happy for, but still, when Thunder Rosa, gets, heels, is Toni Storm going to continue the title reign, or are we going to give the title back to Thunder Rosa? And also too with this match, I said it was a good match and a good showing, but there were parts that it was pretty sloppy. I don't know what it is with the women's matches sometimes. I don't know if there is a lack of communication, if there is, not a lot of trust or confidence or something like that, but they're never as smooth as, with the men's championship. So I don't know if there is, time needed to the women backstage or something like that. If women, because, a majority of them don't really have experience as far as being in front of the camera or wrestling in front of thousands, tens of thousands of people and stuff like that. So I don't know what it is. And it's kind of like a bit disappointing because a lot of them are, quote unquote veterans. So you would expect them to be able to handle and wrestle a certain way as well. So, I'm hoping that it gets better, that, more attention will be given to the women's division to help them grow and, their matches become a lot more smoother between spots. So after that, we have Christian Cage going against Jungle Boy, which was a very short match. Jungle Boy comes out, and then Luchasaurus comes out, and he is now Big Show. I mean, Big Show is there, Paul White, and apparently that's who has been coaching Luchasaurus, because only Big Show is the only wrestler in the world of all time who can, go from face to heel, turn on people in like 15 minutes. So now we have Luchasaurus, who now turned his back on Jungle Boy again. The first time he turned his back on him, it was, just to, well, he didn't technically turn his back on him. He kind of started coming out with Christian Cage. And then soon as Jungle Boy shows up, then he decided to go on his side. Now he started attacking Jungle Boy, choke slammed him and stuff like that, and rolled him into the ring. The referee made sure that Jungle Boy was able to stand before they rang the bell, that he was able to compete. And then, of course, this match was for literally 20 seconds. And Jungle Boy was defeated in front of his mom and sister and in front of everyone. And, allegedly this happened because apparently Jungle Boy has an actual injury, so he needs time away. So this is their way of writing him off TV. I don't know. You could have easily had this done really backstage. I don't know. Like, I guess we had to have it happen this way to kind of make the excuse that this match was so short because of the turn from Luchasaurus. But, we couldn't, I don't know. I feel like we could have had this segment done during the pre-show instead of letting this come onto the main card. But, it's still a dicey situation because if you were to do this on the pre-show, people probably would have gotten mad. So, and then you do it on the main card. I mean, this was only for 20 seconds. I would say probably, and before that with entrances and the Luchasaurus turn, stuff like that, I would say it's probably like 5 minutes tops from the time that Christian comes out until he leaves. So, I don't know. It's kind of a bit of a tough situation, but I feel as though, like, I'm not hurt by 20 seconds. If this match had lasted a lot longer, then I would definitely say, like, yo, you should have did a backstage segment during the pre-show. But this was 20 seconds. I guess they're, not even, I can't even say, like, they're let down, because technically it was the women's match that was a bit of the letdown because of how hype everyone was for the tag team championship match that was previous before the women's world title. But I guess this was a bit of a little more of an intermission to prepare for the next match, which is Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson. I have to give it to Jericho, the fact that he has been wrestling for over 30 years and he is able to switch up his characters and stuff like that and still get over with the crowd. It's amazing. He came out as the Lionheart to go against Bryan Danielson. This match was pretty good, a lot of back and forth. We had Daniel Garcia watching backstage to figure out, if he's going to side with his mentor or if he is going to side with his, icon, the person he looked up to when he was growing up as well. But this was pretty much back and forth. I didn't expect for Chris Jericho to win here. But of course, he got the low blow off and then was able to pin Bryan Danielson for the 3 count. Like I said, I was pretty surprised by that, but I guess, it kind of ties into the storyline with Daniel Garcia of wanting Chris Jericho to win with dignity, because after that, the Jericho Appreciation Society comes out, and I don't think Daniel Garcia came out with them, because he was disappointed in the way that Chris Jericho won. So I don't know if, we'll see how this plays out on Dynamite, or the weeks to come, if this is going to, but I think the payoff is that Daniel Garcia is going to be joining Bryan Danielson and probably the Blackpool Combat Club as well. And then I guess they're going to feud with the Jericho Appreciation Society from there on until I guess we figure out what we are actually going to do next after the feud as well. So after that, we had the 6-man tag team match, Darby Allin, Sting, and Miro going against the House of Black, which is Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, with Julia Hart at ringside. I love the House of Black entrance, especially with Julia Hart. She definitely complete 180 from when she was with the Varsity Blondes. Definitely has come into her own as far as this new darker character that she has been portraying as well. This match was pretty good. A lot of back and forth, of course. The thing that sometimes gets me is when Sting does this no sell. So he was doing a sharpshooter. I don't know who he was doing the sharpshooter on, but he started getting I guess he got punched in the face, something like that. Then he got super kicked and he no-sold all of it. I guess the power of being, the power of living for a long time makes your, I don't know, skin more resilient and something like that in wrestling. I don't know. But yeah, Darby Allin, of course, doing all the craziest things. I mean, he's like Spike Dudley, and a mix of Spike Dudley and Mick Foley, willing to do the crazy spots, but he is the person that takes the crazy bumps as well. Interesting outlook. Now, I thought that at one point Sting was sporting the black eye because Malachi Black had missed him in the face, and I thought that maybe this would lead to an interesting turn on Sting for him to join the House of Black. And then we also had Miro with the black eye as well, but they come into this match and it's all gone. So I guess, apparently people can overcome not, getting the mist in the eye and not letting it affect you, unless this is some type of slow burn like we had with Julia Hart. And if that's the case, we won't get the payoff for this for another 5 years. Interesting with this match, though, is that Sting did the mist to Malachi Black. So, of course, there was the news out there that Malachi Black had requested his release, and it wasn't due to him being unhappy or that he wanted to join Papa H or anything like that. It was actually due to personal issues, mental health issues as well. He wanted to take the time out, which I'm sure, the other rumor is that that request has gotten denied. Probably because Tony Khan don't want to release him from that contract just for him to walk over to WWE. Because him and Adam Cole has been signed for 5 years. So they are locked in, till the end of time probably at this point. But I'm guessing that Tony Khan allows him to just take as much time that he needed off. But who knows how long that's going to be. If Malachi was asking for his release, it's very likely that he may want to take, more than just a couple of months away from wrestling in order for him to heal mentally. And, big ups to Malachi Black for taking the opportunity to address his mental health, because it could be very taxing to ignore your mental health, to ignore your health in general, whereas that physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, to just ignore your health and try to push on, because it could definitely lead to burnout. It can definitely lead to a lot of stress. It could lead to you, flipping out on someone out of, seeming to them out of nowhere as well. So definitely I applaud Malachi Black for, you know, giving himself time to mentally heal. But this match was pretty good, like I said. I actually thought House of Black would win here, but of course with Sting missing Malachi Black, I guess this feud will continue on later on down the line once Malachi Black feels better and decides to come back and wrestle. I guess to leave that bit open. According to a lot of people that were in the live crowd, after the match, Malachi Black had bowed to the crowd, hugged the members of the House of Black, and I think he blew a kiss to the fans. I'm not 100% sure, but seemingly make it seem like this is the last time we'll see him for a while, or possibly in AEW. So finally, we get to the AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley versus CM Punk. Now, like I had said before, it really was unnecessary for them to do this whole, CM Punk feeling like he's about to quit. Then he had to get, hyped up and stuff like that. He's in Chicago. He's going to get cheered anyway, or at least so I thought. So, of course, we had CM Punk comes out. We had Jon Moxley who came out with Regal. He gave the middle fingers to the crowd. A lot of back and forth with this match as well. This match went on for almost 20 minutes. Surprisingly, Jon Moxley was not the one bleeding. A lot of people noticed that CM Punk was wearing the white tights, which means he's going to eventually start bleeding. Good call to that one. But CM Punk was the one who's bleeding throughout the match. And then Jon Moxley, like the fucking psycho he is, had some of CM Punk's blood on him and then licked his hand, seemingly to lick the blood off. I'm going to say that it was a bit of an illusion. I mean, he turned his face, but it looked like where he was licking, there wasn't blood there, So we'll say it there. Crowd was very hype for this match, of course, because they wanted their boy to win, which he did eventually. It took two GTS to put down Moxley, but then CM Punk wins, and there was a bit of a celebration, so everybody was kind of waiting for what was going to happen. Of course, the lights cut out. We see the Joker, who was wearing the mask. They turn around, take off the mask. You could obviously tell from the hair who it was. And if you didn't know who it was, including the crowd pop, he puts on the scarf, and it was MJF. Comes out to the crowd. First of all, before he even came out, a voicemail plays from Tony Khan. And it's Tony Khan telling MJF to come back to All Out. He's going to put him in the Casino Battle Royale match. He's going to get a title shot, and that he will pay him this amount of money. He doesn't need to extend the contract, but he's going to pay him this amount of money. And I was like, whoa, that is definitely crazy. And I don't know if people thought that, MJF just happens to play that to kind of like swerve at Tony Khan, which is like, I'm hoping, especially with all the stuff that happened at the media scrum, that I'm hoping that Tony Khan is smart enough to know that this voicemail was going to play before MJF came out. I'm assuming that. But it was a good touch, a bit of a good touch to continue on the, I guess, the anti-establishment between MJF and Tony Khan. So then MJF comes out and the crowd popped, and they started chanting for CM Punk. They started chanting for MJF while CM Punk is standing in the middle of the ring after winning the title in fucking Chicago, which is crazy. So I don't know if he is going to turn out to be a baby face with all this, because how the crowd is like loving MJF right now, or if he's going to stay as a heel. It's definitely going to be very weird for MJF to become a baby face. But, you know, I say never say never. So now, you know, with All Out, All Out was okay. Some of the matches really didn't live up to the hype as we have seen in previous years, of course. Of course, the All Out that had Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson coming out was definitely one of the better pay-per-views that they had put out. I mean, that pay-per-view had the first match of CM Punk, and that was the pay-per-view where all the matches was pretty good except for, you know, the Paul White versus QT Marshall. And even with that one, even with that match, it wasn't even that bad because it felt like it was a bit of a cool down before we got to the main event. But with this match, it felt like there were a lot of cool down matches, and it was just like some matches could have been left for Dynamite, and it was just so much. I mean, last year we had, including pre-show, we had 10 matches, where this year we had like what, 14 of them, like, no, not, yeah, 14, 15 matches here. So it was just like too much. It really was. And I feel like, you know, it could have been a lot more. I mean, it could have been, it could have been not a lot more, but they could have been condensed down, I should say. It could have definitely been condensed down. So now we're getting to the biggest news. You know, despite the fact we had All Out and, you know, champions and stuff like that and great matches, all that everyone's talking about is what the hell happened at this media scrum. So I'm watching it. I decided to tune into it. I decided to tune into it. And first up was CM Punk. Now, I don't know what exactly, if the person asked the question because the feed cut in a little late to the question, but Colt Cabana was brought up, and CM Punk starts going off a bit because of having to deal with this question about Colt Cabana after not dealing with him for, I believe he said 10 years at this point, and he's not understanding why people, you know, are asking him about this. And he started talking shit about Hangman Adam Page. Then he started talking about the EVPs and leaking information, how people didn't know, you know, people didn't start asking this until someone had leaked information to the dirt sheets, and he said it was the EVPs. And then he talked about Hangman Page again. And then we go to another question, and CM Punk kept going back to the issue with the EVPs. And the craziest thing is that Tony Khan was sitting directly next to him. And, you know, of course, we go on to with the rest of the media scrum. Who cares? Because all that we care about is what happened apparently during the media scrum off camera. So allegedly, well, not allegedly, because, you know, we don't know the details, but we do know that there was a fight between the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, CM Punk, and Ace Steel. And the craziest thing, and people, as of because I waited to record this episode till we got like information, but everyone involved have gotten suspended, including some coaches that I figured would be there to break up the fight, but apparently somehow they were involved in it and they were suspended. And the titles, the trios titles, and the AEW championship has been stripped away. Now, as far as what's going to happen, how we're going to determine the new champions, who knows? But my opinion about this is I place the blame on the CEO and these EVPs. I know some blame can be placed on CM Punk too. Could he have handled this differently? Yes. I don't know who threw the first punch. Um, could he have handled things differently? Could he have pulled Tony Khan to the side, have a meeting with him and the Young Bucks and handled this a little bit better? Yes. However, the employee will do what the employer allows him to do. CM Punk will do what Tony Khan allows him to do. CM Punk feels comfortable enough to put down the EVPs with the CEO and boss sitting right next to him. And apparently, we see that he has that power because while he's sitting there, Tony Khan did not have control of the situation. Um, he's sitting there looking around, making faces and stuff like that, not saying anything, not cutting him off, not stopping the fire before it takes down the forest. And there's people who want CM Punk gone and stuff like that. I place the majority of the blame on the management. Look, if an employee was to punch me in the face and I fight back and defend myself, I will be the one who will be in more trouble than the employee because it's looked upon on me as the manager to act more professionally than the employee. And the thing that really gets me with Tony Khan is that it's the management skills. I can see if this is, I would say Dixie Carter, for an example, someone who don't really have the biggest experience as far as managing people and personalities. But what really blows my mind is that Tony Khan is working with an NFL team and a soccer team who has bigger fucking personalities than every single wrestler in the history of wrestling. You cannot tell me that Tony Khan doesn't know how to handle personalities because like I said previously before, he works with Jacksonville Jaguars. And Jacksonville Jaguars, since the Khans took over the team, went to the playoffs once and had one winning season. So I know the fans are calling them all kinds of names. And maybe they don't have a big fan base like AEW does, but that's besides the point. My point is that he should have experience of dealing with these personalities. He should, and it's like, first of all, football players get paid so much more than the wrestlers, and the egos are so much more bigger. And he had, he had Fournette on the team at one point. And I remembered that there was like some incident or something like that back in the day where it was a player that came at Tony Khan, called him a spoiled brat or something like that. And I'm not 100% sure about things on soccer side because I don't watch soccer like that. But I know the fans are very passionate. And so I figured that the players are that much more passionate. So you're still dealing with big personalities and people telling you fuck you to your face and pay me now. The shit that's going on with MJF, the ego, the problematic people. And so I'm like blown away that Tony Khan is acting like so brand new to all this that we don't know how to handle this situation with Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara and now with CM Punk. Like, it's crazy of what's going on backstage in AEW within the past 30 days. Because now there's rumors out there that people have threatened not to show up at Dynamite, that people want CM Punk gone or, some type of amends to, do things like that. Like, I don't think people realize the ramifications of what CM Punk said and did in this fight that ensued. And in connection with what happened between Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara. If you don't like someone or you say the wrong thing to someone, you'll end up in a fight. That's a hostile working environment. And on top of that, Tony Khan needs as much peace and happiness in the locker room that he needs, because the network had merged with Discovery, and they are looking to, cut whatever it is they feel as though they need to cut from their list of products, catalogs, and things like that. So, and second of all, you're looking to get your contract renewed to continue on TNT and TBS. And then you are looking for a TV deal with Ring of Honor. And now within 30 days, you have two major incidents that doesn't look good upon you and your employees, of fights that's going on in your locker room. And Warner Brothers Discovery can easily say, you know what, we're not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'll let you go. They are happy so far as right now. They're happy that they're number one on they're number one on cable for, the demo and all the other stuff. But it's still a network. You only been with them for what, 3 years now at this point. They'll easily let you go. Like, there's no deep relationship with them like WWE has with USA at this point. They'll let you go. They'll cut you. And then what? You're going to end up on what, AMC? You're going to end up on what, YouTube at this point? It's, he needs to show that he has assertiveness, and I don't see that. And I feel as though the reason why it's just like such this big disconnect from my assumption of him being able to handle personalities and things like that, which I assume you would handle in NFL and the soccer teams. And then on top of that, he has other businesses as well. So I'm like, you have experience of being, managing owner and stuff like that, is because he's a fan. He's a fan, he's a friend, and things like that. And it showed with this with the segment at the media scrum with CM Punk, where after the man put down your your EVPs and talk shit about another employee, you ask him for a fucking seltzer. You laugh because CM Punk mentioned how it's not alcoholic or stuff like that, and you thanked him a couple of times for the seltzer. Like, what message does that send to your locker room? You know what I mean? What message does that send to your locker room? I felt as though I feel like because with these media scrums, Tony Khan is right there and stuff like that. And then even later, Swerve and Keith Lee had said something too. I mean, they were in character, but Tony Khan had like dropped the hint that maybe there should be a rematch, and they was like, why would there, like, they talked, like, not really talked back to him, but they was like, why would there be a rematch? We beat them. Why are you gonna do that? That's not smart. And he was like, I'm just throwing an idea out there. I feel as though with Tony Khan, he needs to get ahead of the game. Like, you have to start talking corporate. You can't talk as the fan friend thing. It's not working out. Okay. The cracks, the dam is spilling out. Okay. The cracks in the dam is getting bigger, and the water is starting to spew out a little bit, but that flood is coming. And I feel like he, let these wrestlers have the media scrum on their own. You come at the end. That way, if there's anything that they said crazy or anything like that, you can do damage control. Tony Khan shouldn't have been sitting next to CM Punk. See, even if CM Punk said what he said, Tony Khan not being there, he could have easily had said, now, because people have also pointed out how Tony Khan mentioned that people not liking each other is a good thing, which it can be. But he could have easily said, hey, especially with this whole, what CM Punk has said, look, sometimes when people don't like each other, it can be best as far as entertainment for the fans. However, there has to be some type of respect with authority. Now, if there is an issue with the EVPs, we could all sit down and discuss this and handle it, in a better way. Easily corporate answer. Easy corporate answer. And he actually has said that. Soon as CM Punk started going, you can say, hey, ho, ho, ho. Because this is your company. You can talk over your employee. Hold on. All right. This is my first time hearing about, if he wants to say that. This is my first time hearing about, this situation between you and the EVPs. And we had discussed previously about the situation with Coco and everything like that. And I know that you guys don't like each other, but that's the EVPs. And if there's an issue that you have with them, it's something that they did, then come talk to me privately. We can talk after this media scrum. And if you need to cut it early, cut it early. I mean, if CM Punk walks, CM Punk walks. Now, while yes, that is your cash grab for right now, he was able to sell out an arena just off of a rumor. I get it. But still, eventually CM Punk is going to either retire or get injured enough to leave, or he'll just walk. And then what happens after that? The AEW is CM Punk don't even have the letters AEW in his name. He is not the end all be all. He is not wrestling all 65 matches on All Out. He is not out there for the full 2 hours of Dynamite. He's not out there for the 1 hour of Rampage. He's not on the YouTube channels or anything like that. And while his face may be on the website and the t-shirt store, you still have other people. I mean, CM Punk came, 2 years after AEW started, and you guys were doing pretty well before he came. You guys did well enough, not only for him to come along, but for Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson to come along as well. So, you can't get too attached to things like that. And as far as with the Elite, I don't get it. I know they said that they are, EVPs in name only, but you're still the EVP. There is a level expectation you need as far as being professional. And it's the same thing with Cody Rhodes, that they're EVPs, but they still want to be wrestlers, which sometimes don't really work out. As we saw with Cody, that once he started, becoming the top babyface, people immediately said, well, you're the EVP. Of course, this, that, and the third. Even with All Out, when they won the Trios titles, everyone was like, well, of course they won the Trios titles. They're the EVPs. I knew that they were going to win the Trios titles because I believe they were the ones who pushed for the Trios titles. And I'm like, of course they're going to win. They're the EVPs. And so, you still have to know that even though you don't want to really be EVP, you are still the EVP. There's a level of expectation of how you handle yourselves as locker room leaders, as, leaders in the company, and how things will be looked upon. Whether CM Punk threw the first punch or not, they are EVPs. I mean, I'm just kind of puzzled. Because if they don't want to be EVPs, then drop your title. Give up being an EVP and give it to someone else. Step down and give it to someone else. And if they don't want to step down, then they need to step up and live up to the title of EVP. But yeah, it's been a hot mess. As far as people getting suspended, I'm fine with that. As far, and then of course fans start, saying a bunch of shit. Now all of a sudden there's a sudden love for Coco Cabana. Now I'm indifferent to him. Before AEW, I didn't really watch him like that. I know he was in WWE for a little bit of time, but he's mainly been on the independents. And people were saying oh, without Coco Cabana, there's no, the craziness people start saying, without Coco Cabana, there's no AEW and all this other stuff and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, first of all, I could have sworn, if my memory serves me right, when Coco Cabana joined the Dark Order, there were people who were upset about it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I definitely remember people not really liking Coco Cabana being with the Dark Order, not really liking it. So it is what it is. People are going to take sides regardless. But my opinion on this is that the blame is on the CEO and these EVPs. This situation should never got this out of control. It should have been handled from the jump. Not saying that, you have to know every single thing that's going on, but you need to have structure in place to prevent stuff like this. And the big issue that CM Punk had as far as with the EVPs is that they leaked the information to the dirt sheets, which is a no too, because if you're leaking like whether it's directly or indirectly, you sitting here leaking information to the dirt sheets, you're not doing good for your company. You're an EVP. I don't give a shit if you like CM Punk or not. That's your cash grab right now. Like, that's your cash grab. That's why y'all keep going to fucking Chicago every year. Because of CM Punk. Y'all sold out the stadium just off of a rumor of him showing up. Y'all didn't even say he was showing up. There was a rumor that he would be there. And y'all sold out. Now, is he pulling numbers like Roman Reigns and stuff like that? No. But when CM Punk is on TV, more people will tune in than not tune in. You know what I mean? And I had, when I was talking about this with the hubs, I said it's very similar to Brock Lesnar. People don't like Brock Lesnar, but when Brock Lesnar shows up on TV, people are going to tune in. Same thing with CM Punk. And now MJF. You may not like the person, but when the person's on TV, you're going to tune in to see what's going on. Everybody tuned, I bet you people tuned in to Dynamite to see what happened. With the fact that all the shit that happened backstage, everyone getting suspended, titles being stripped, and with MJF coming out, I bet you people tuned in. I bet you if they sat there and said, oh, whenever CM Punk comes back and he goes, they say, oh, we're going to hear from CM Punk. I bet you people going to tune in. It is what it is. You may not like the guy, but that guy is pulling in cash for you. He is selling the t-shirts and things like that. When that motherfucker came back, every woman, man, woman, and child went to AEW shop and brought the damn t-shirt. Y'all go to Chicago every year for All Out. Y'all go to Chicago all the time. So obviously it's something. It's something. Y'all, not saying that y'all gotta kiss his ass, but y'all can't be shitting on him either. Really can't. But that's my opinion about the media scrum. I feel like this is a hot mess. Tony Khan really needs to get on top of it, or else. And I made the comparison to WCW. I did, because the issue with WCW is that the wrestlers had more power than the damn CEO. And Eric Bischoff became the fan with Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash instead of the boss. And that's what we're kind of seeing here with Tony Khan, is that he is becoming more of the fan than the boss. CM Punk the situation with CM Punk at that medium scrum should never even got that far. It should never even got that far. But we'll see how things turn out. Now it's on to him to ring things in and kind of like, smooth out the situation, keep your employees happy overall, and making sure that that locker room and the backstage feels like a safe, and it doesn't really need to be happy, but it doesn't need to be, they don't need to be like, oh, I'm happy, singing like they're in a musical, but fine enough to show up to work and work, you know what I mean? Because if they start feeling unhappy, you're going to start, shit's going to happen. And you're going to end up in the dirt sheets every single week and every single day. And then another part that made me upset about him is that when he started talking about how, last year we were uncontested and now this year we were the third show and stuff like that. Then he brought up he brought up Crockett and mentioned how he had more money than him and stuff like that and how he's not going to take any shit. I'm like, yo, I don't want to hear, as of right now, I don't want to hear WWE come out of Tony Khan's mouth anymore. What Tony Khan needs to worry about is his own company, or else people going to jump from his John like it's Vince McMahon. He needs to stop worrying about WWE If WWE decides to book on during your weekend, oh well. Oh well, you know what I mean? It is what it is. And like and I mentioned well, I didn't mention to you guys, but I'm like, you're in the NFL. You're in the league with Jerry fucking Jones, who will sit there and try to take all your good players, and there's even other coaches sit there and take your good players, sit there and talk to your people and be like, yo, when's your contract out? You want to come play with us? Like, stop playing with that bum ass team. You know what I mean? It happens. And so, like, yeah, WWE likes to pull off the monopoly, but as far as like competition and stuff like that, and people like wanting to take your people, that happens. You know what I mean? And he constantly mentioned how, I got more money, I got more money, I got more money. I'm like, yeah, but you need to worry about your management style in your locker room, because it's not working out for these past this past month or so with the shit that's coming out, especially with this now. Especially with this. And it's like so weird because AEW and WWE completely did a switch. Now everybody in WWE is happy. People are, coming back. Fans are like, oh, who's coming? Who's coming? And stuff like that. And, shows are being booked nicely. And there's not really a lot of like down moments and stuff like that. Complete 180 from what's going on with AEW. Now, I'm not saying that Tony Khan's going to turn into another Vince McMahon, but what I mean is that people are going to end up wanting to leave that company because they're unhappy, they feel unsafe, it's a lot of drama going on, and people don't want to go to work and deal with drama like that. So, I'm hoping that things get better, because I do like AEW and I want them to succeed, because I like the fact that there are alternatives for wrestlers if they were to let go or anything like that. If they want to do something different, that they don't have to stay with WWE or anything like that, or have to work for an indie show that doesn't really you won't be able to get on TV and stuff like that. That there is an alternative to give people an opportunity that they didn't have in their career. But I'm hoping that things just turn around. I'm hoping this is a wake-up call for them, and that is not too late as far as dealing with Warner Discovery. That Warner Discovery is, giving them a chance to get things right, because this is the first real test for Tony Khan as the CEO. Get your shit together. In the words of Morty, get your shit together. Get all your shit. Get it together. And that's what I'm hoping will happen. So that's it for the WrestleBread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Shout out to Julian Rob Bass from Wrestling Court Podcast and IntuitiveMinds.com. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show. Chris from We Talk Next Podcast, which is featured on the Keita and Jay Show. Devin Hafiz from Clark Street Wrestling. Nando and Larry from Half K Podcast, and special shout outs to Straight Talk Wrestling, Circle Debate, and Top Rope Wrestling Talk as well. Coming up next week is going to be the fallout of all the shit that's happening and all the happiness and the sunflowers that's coming from WWE right now. We have Baby Uso that we gotta hear from with the Usos and Roman Reigns, and who else from the family is coming? Is Grandma, going to show up and pull a referee out the ring too? I'm ready for the family reunion. Hopefully there's some food that we can all sit down and eat and enjoy too. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at JDC137. That's JAYDEE letter C 137, and follow the podcast at WrestleBread as well. Click the links in the bio for the Instagram, the Facebook, and the YouTube channel as well. Leave a review. Let me know your thoughts. How you feel about this shit that's going on with Tony Khan, the Elite, and CM Punk. And how do you feel that this situation could have been done differently? And do you agree with me that the majority of the blame is to Tony Khan? Or do you feel as though the blame should be placed on CM Punk? But let me know your thoughts, and until next time, guys, peace.